Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Ishvaro Guratmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomabda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sava Vedanta Sedanta Gocharam Tomagocharam Govindam Paramanantam Satguru Pranatosh Maham Om Om Shanti 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 Om Namaste and welcome everyone to our Q&A Satsang. So as far as I know, I haven't received any email question. So let's see if anything comes up. Otherwise, we can practice some samadhi yoga. Samadhi yoga, how about that? You like that idea, Mark?
Yes, I like that idea. Hey, can I continue with the question the other day?
Please.
The other day I asked you.
Yeah.
The other day I asked you if Maya was the Rajasic and Tamasic aspect of Ishvara. I want to rephrase that question. So can we say Ishvara is the sattvic aspect of Maya?
Yeah, we can say that from either angles, you know. So Ishvara is the sattvic aspect of Maya. It is the intelligent cause. It's sattva guna. It's pure sattva, or as pure it may be. So that is Ishvara. And then avidya or ignorance comes when it somehow develops itself sattva into rajas and tamas to project the world as we know, and the human jivas who know that they exist, who know that they are conscious, but believe that they are limited by the attributes of their constitution, you know. So this is avidya, this is ignorance. So your point is Ishvara is the sattvic aspect of Maya, and Rajas and Tamas is the avidya, the ignorant aspect. Is that what you said, Mark?
Yes. Yeah, I was just trying to work out the difference between Ishvara and Maya. And yeah, and that does it nicely. Thank you. You know,
yeah, I mean, Ishvara, the difference.
And we can't actually separate them because it's all one reality.
Yeah. So, but it's interesting you bring up this question because some scriptures, they say that Ishvara is superior or Ishvara controls Maya. And we have to see which Ishvara the scripture within that context is referring to, if it is Nirguna Ishvara or Saguna Ishvara. So when we say that Ishvara controls Maya, so we may say Nirguna Ishvara is beyond Maya. You know, Maya is just an apparent superimposition, okay? So, and then we are talking about Nirguna Ishvara or Brahman, okay? So, but sometimes the scripture says that Ishvara controls Maya within the context of Saguna Ishvara. Saguna Ishvara is this intelligent cause of the universe, of creation. So Ishvara as this pure knowledge, intelligent principle, you say, has the knowledge to manipulate the other two energies, Rajas and Tamas. You understand? So since Ishvara or Sattvaguna, this intelligent principle, has the power to manipulate, control, and mix up the energies in order to bring about the subtle physical, subtle elements and the physical elements later on, and all the configurations, all the constitutions of the creation, all kinds of names and forms. So Ishvara controls Maya because fundamentally Maya is the three energies, you understand? The three gunas is what Maya is. Maya is this basic, macrocosmic, power that brings about the three energies. And out of Sattva Guna comes the intelligence, the knowledge power that is able to mix up or to control, manipulate the other energies, and then to bring about this universe of names and forms. You understand? So sometimes they say, the scripture may say that Ishvara controls Maya because Ishvara, it has the power to control the energies and controls every object in the universe, okay? It brings them about, it sustains every object in the universe and then destroys them in their due time, you understand? So it's, and what is the difference between Maya and Ishvara? So very often we say Maya / Ishvara. Sometimes Ramji says that Ishvara and Maya and Ishvara, they are two sides of the same thing, the same coin. So Maya is this principle, that brings about the three gunas. And Ishvara is the Sattva guna that has the power to manipulate and assemble all objects in the universe. Therefore, it has the power to somehow control or overtake the gunas of Maya to bring about this order, this universe, this ordered universe, of infinite names, colors and forms, that are all subject to the laws of the Lord Ishvara, meaning to say this conscious, self-conscious being made out of pure knowledge, you understand? But it's still, yet it's not embodied in matter. It's not embodied, it's not incarnate as a super jiva or anything. It's just pure sattva. And this principle is what allows rajas and tamas to bring about this universe. Therefore, we say that Ishvara has power over Maya, you understand? Although Ishvara, Saguna Ishvara, is a byproduct of Maya. Look how interesting. Maya brings about Ishvara, Jiva, and Jagat, brings about the three energies. Out of each one of these energies, it brings, out of Sattva, it brings Ishvara, out of Rajas, it brings Jiva, and out of Tamas, it brings about Jagat, the physical material universe. Okay, so what does that say? It says that Ishvara is a byproduct of Maya. But then we also say that Maya, but Ishvara in the end is the Lord because it's going to control the gunas. You understand? It's going to order this universe structure and so on and control the gunas and make every object in the universe to follow its rules. It's the greatest ruler, although it is not a human being. It's not a super jiva. Ishvara has nothing to do with actions. It's just the knowledge that propitiates this universe and the jivas to know what they know and to know what they do not know. All of that comes from Sattva Guna, pure Sattva, which is basically the nature of Ishvara.
Wow. Thank you, Arlindo. That was a beautiful answer and very clarifying.
Okay. My pleasure, my friend.
Arlindo, we're coming to the end of Vivekachudamani now. And I just wanted to say thank you. It's just a beautiful text and you unfolded it, added so much to my life. And it's lovely. Thank you so much.
Oh, I appreciate your appreciation very much, as Ramji often say, appreciation is much appreciated. And I have to say that it has been a great privilege to me as well, because I benefit from these meetings as much as you all do. You understand? This is my sadhana, the same way this is your sadhana. I think it was very, very nice. This is all this is all David's ideas. It was his vasana to bring this group together. So thank you, David. We all have benefit big time. It was very nice. I mean, it helped us to cruise through 2020, you know.
I understand. I appreciate that. I'm not sure. I think the group was coming together in lots of different ways. So especially since we've kind of evolved into a Monday, Thursday type of deal. So that's pretty amazing. I'm just reflecting back on this, on the study of this Viveka Jnanami, and I almost like, I'm just like, can we go back to the beginning and just kind of like, why, you know, why was this written? Why was this created? And what was the purpose behind this book? The commentaries, the selection of these 108, different passages. I just wonder if you could kind of refresh again in terms of what this was designed to do, and then if you've got any more thinking about Dayananda and his approach to the commentary as well too. But I wonder if you just kind of go back and kind of reflect upon this book and its impact and where it fits when it comes to Vedanta scripture.
Well, this is a text written by Shankara, and his books, his texts are modern in the sense that they were compiled because they are all compilations of the Upanishads. You understand? So it is recent because it goes back to 1300 years ago. And so just it says much about our sampradaya, you understand? So it is basically, it is a summary, a synthesis of the Upanishads, in which he picks up most of the most important notions, concepts of this revealed body of knowledge from different Upanishads, but it has a unique kind of aspect to it because it's all focused on discriminating Satya from Mithya. So that's why it's called Viveka Chudamani. Okay, it's very much focused on this practice of discrimination. So it begins explaining what is the Jiva, what is Ishvara, what is the world, and then it goes on, discriminating everything that we see as an experience, an object of experience, and the three bodies and all the states and the koshas. And it goes through most of all basic important concepts, and we can go as deep as we may wish on those concepts. So overall, we could say that Viveka Chudamani is an advanced text. It skips the notion of dharma, karma, and upasana altogether. And therefore, it is designed for the people whose mind has been purified already by karma, dharma, and upasana. So we have done this selection of this verse, which was something that Swami Paramarthananda selected for Dayananda, because Dayananda asked him to do so. And we followed that model. As we know, Vedanta presents the same argument sometimes, repeated in numerous times. So from different angles, sometimes they are almost identical. And there is a reason for all these repetitions. So repetition sometimes gets people annoyed. So Ramji is careful about repetition, and he tries to avoid excessive repetitions of concepts. and he tries to avoid some notions and some reasonings when they are too subtle or too philosophical. So we, at this point, this is a summary of the Viveka. Viveka is more than 500 verses altogether. So at this point, so we could move into a different text now, or we could begin play with some other select verse of the entire body of the entire text of Viveka Chudamani. I mean, we had Lynn bringing up some verse that we did not cover, like 400 something, you know. There is a lot of good stuff there. So we could go deeper into this, or we could shift to Mandukya, which is again a very subtle and radical Upanishad, you know, which sticks to the ultimate truth. So it's up to us to decide. We could put it to a vote if we want to play with the verse that we haven't yet unfolded, or at least a good chunk of them. I could go through the verse and select some of them and bypass it to you, and then you can read a little bit and prepare, or we can move into something else. So what do you think, David?
Well, so the book we've been reading, this Chris Jewell, so this is really I want to say Cliff Notes, the short version of the Viveka Chudamani. So we really haven't read the entire thing. We've only read Dayananda's, selection of 108 verses from the 500 verses that Shankarya selected. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, we covered about 20% of the verse.
Okay, and all right. Well, I want to move on. I think just because for variety purposes, I guess I'm not sure that how much more in depth we want to go to at this point, but that's my inclination, is to move on and get a different, step back and take a different perspective on things and focus less on discrimination, let's say, and move into something else. But
okay,
to me, I don't want to. I shouldn't consider myself having studied Viveka Chudamani than the whole thing. If I want to have that, then I need to get the whole book and look for a class on that. Is that? Yeah.
Oh, my point is very simple. We can do anything we want. We can go. Yeah. We can go back to Karma Dharma by beginning even with the Gita. You understand? Bhagavad Gita. We can go to another Upanishads. It's all up to us.
Arlindo, can you say a little more about the Mandukya that you're talking about? The other text?
Yeah, Mandukya is one of the most extreme Upanishads, and it's more subtle. I haven't really read much of the Mandukya, but I did a webinar with Ramji on the Mandukya before he left his residence in Bend. And those days they were packing up to leave Bend. They did a seminar there, and I stayed with them, and I could see that it's a very subtle book or text. And I remember Ramji at a certain point, not complain, but how you say, whine a little bit. You say, oh my God, why I had the idea to do Mandukya? I should have stayed with the easy thing. And now I have my brain smoking here, because they are going, these texts, when they go into subtleties, into very, very subtle Vedantic arguments about the existence, which does not really exist of the universe, and you start questioning our own existence, not only the reality of the jiva and jagat and Ishvara, but really start challenging the very existence of this jiva. So it is very radical, very extreme. It is the absolute truth. There are some people out there that even believe that this is the real Vedanta, it's the Mandukya and some other texts that establish that nothing really exists, that all there is consciousness and everything else is just like a dream, just like an illusion, you understand? Although it is experienced. So we're going to go into some of these more philosophical and subtle analysis of our experience that is going to reject and negate ultimately even the existence of what we call my life and so on, So it is very beautiful, but it is subtle, you understand? And it is radical, it is extreme.
I'm ready for radical.
Well, if the choices are like, this Mandukya is like, to me, it appeals to the intellectuals, the intellectual side, the development of the intellect and the
Yeah.
subtleties, and that the alternative being, like you said, just go back to the Gita or something similar and talk more about karma yoga and upasana, and really think about the focus on preparation, if you will. And
Yeah.
so, and preparing this jiva and its its life, if you will, or environment, such that you can entertain more subtle aspects of Vedanta. So to me, it's probably a little bit of like, is there a group thing or individually, do you want to focus more on creating and a sattvic environment that is conducive to learning, or do we want to focus on, we've got that, and what really are want to focus on the more subtle aspects of the intellectual.
Okay, I have an idea. See if you guys like it. We can begin with the Mandukya, and then if we feel that it's too subtle, too philosophical, etc., we can open two classes. We can keep Mandukya, for example, on Monday, and we could begin Bhagavad Gita on Thursdays. What do you think?
Would Thursdays still be a Q&A on karma yoga kind of thing, or
no? We would need to sacrifice the Q&A, of course. You understand? Unless you guys would want me to work a little harder and open a third session for our group or mini group.
I'm just wrestling with even twice a week, and
so let's do that. Let's begin with the Mandukya, which is the original idea, and then we see how it goes. And then if most people say, no, I don't want to know about Mandukya anymore, and then we can find some solution, some arrangement, so that everybody is satisfied. Can make a special Mandukya session for the very few.
Yeah, I hate to sacrifice the Q&A because I think that's beneficial, be able to have that platform to toss around our confusions and all that. Yeah.
And it's really, and frankly, to me, it's what makes this satsang unique from what the other Vedanta teachers that are out there, is that your willingness to engage in Q&A.
Yeah, it's very, very important too. I mean, I think we have benefit big time by these Q&A sessions,
And I mean, it certainly is a Western approach to learning, but I think you're kind of getting much more into it's actually teaching a class that's more like mana, right? And helping us with the other two stages of learning, if you will. So the combination,
Good.
kind of does work. And so I guess I'd say, Mandukya, but I just can't, for me anyway, and I can only speak for myself, I can't let go of the fact that I need to continue to work on karma yoga and
Absolutely.
continue to work on vipassana. I can't let that go. And that's kind of where I'm kind of thinking, it's like, how do I integrate that? And maybe I just add
Yeah.
myself to it. I just start reading. I've gotten out, James's book on, on the essence of enlightenment. I need to go back and review that. But I think on my own, I really need to be thinking about karma yoga.
Yeah, I want to say that,
asana.
David. It's very good. So do some side work and get into the videos or the audios of one of those long seminars of Ramji seminars of Karma Yoga, of Bhagavad Gita. And then you keep going through that, doing your own work, because these videos, they are very powerful, because it is the teaching, is the unfoldment of the teachings, by a great teacher. So it's not like studying alone, you are getting already the benefit of the teacher exposing the teaching. And then what do, you write your doubts, and then we play with your doubts on Thursday, even if they come from the angle of karma and dharma, which are very important to clear those doubts, you understand, and to understand.
I think it's a nice accommodation. I'm wondering what other people are thinking, whether that's, again, the Q&A session can keep it open,
Yeah.
but you're basically given permission to bring in something that
Absolutely.
wasn't
Yeah.
talked about.
Yeah.
Right.
And we could even, depending on how we go with the Mandukya, we can do 1 hour of Mandukya, and then in the end to open 30 minutes of Q&A on Mandukya, you understand? I wouldn't mind that as well.
Yeah. Okay, that would be good. And so if let's say we want to look at the karma and Upasana, you're recommending is to go to Shining World, Ramji's site, and pick something from there?
Well, I mean, Ramji is a great teacher, and he has made it very simple for us, because he brought the teachings in English, very easily comprehensible language, with the touch of his personality, of course. And so I love to study with Paramarthananda as well, but I have to say that I had to break through my resistance, because there is a lot of Sanskrit in there as well, So
Yeah.
if you get over that obstacle, which is a lot of Sanskrit, and then you may get a flavor for the teachings as presented by Swami Paramarthananda, So nowadays, if I have more time, if I have time to start, I rather start with Paramarthananda, because I did 5 years of solid Ramji. And then now in the past 2 years, I'm doing a lot of Paramarthananda. I like Paramarthananda better than Dayananda for some reason, it's, yeah.
Well, I think it might be an interesting task to take on, for us to look into that. I don't know that we necessarily have to do the same thing, but it might be nice to kind of compare, do some research, look into Ramji Paramathananda, and then have a discussion next Thursday, perhaps, about what people are finding, or what if they want to pursue this kind of side study, if you will, outside of the Mandukya. Maybe we can come to consensus on what approach to do, or maybe not, and maybe it doesn't really matter. So if you're just open to kind of catching things, I would say, with in fairness to you, that we ought to, for doing that we ought to make sure we write our questions down, on the Wednesday before, and get them to you, so that you have some chance to consider all the questions and figure out like what might be the best discussion for Thursday.
Okay, sounds good. So having said so, does anyone have a question?
I just, you, to what extent do you use Maya and Mithya interchangeably, or do you really see them as entirely different type of things? Because sometimes I feel like, we say Satya and Mithya, and sometimes we say Satya and Maya, and sometimes, so I'm not really sure about consistency in terms of using Maya and Mithya.
Yeah, I mean, when we say Mithya, we refer to this apparent reality of names, colors, and forms. Okay, and when we say Maya, we refer mostly to the power that brings about Mithya, this superimposition of names, colors, and forms within the scope of consciousness, which is the only reality. So Maya is this power that brings about this multitude of object, of apparent object. So, and then we say, sometimes we say, oh, it's all Maya, meaning to say it's all an illusion. This universe is not really real, and then we say it's all Maya, it's all a trick of Maya. But Maya fundamentally is the three energies, meaning to say this power that allows, brings about the universe, okay? So this is Maya. On other times we may say like samsara. Samsara is this world, this manifest universe of forms and names and so on. But samsara often is meant to illustrate this psychological condition that occurs in the mind of the human jiva, which is the belief that duality is reality, and the objects projected by Maya, Ishvara, serve the purpose to resolve the sense of incompletion and smallness and inadequacy. So samsara is described within our tradition as a psychological condition. It's not just like, oh, it's samsara, it's just meat, it's just the universe. Oh, it's samsara. Samsara means a cycle as well, of being caught up into something because of misapprehension of the nature of this something, So they are different words indicating to Mithya, but within different connotations, you understand, with different context, So you understand, David?
Yeah, I'm just looking back at some of the cards that Ramji kind of created, and so I'm looking to see, Satya seems to be compared to Mithya, so it's like two sides of the coin. I mean, Satya, kind of outside, kind of reflecting more consciousness, and Mithya is reflecting the apparent reality. And but is there a counterpart between Maya and something in Satya? Is there a counterpart there, or does Satya represent power as well? Does it represent both concepts of Mithya and Maya? Is it a counter? Is it counter to? I don't have to say counter, but it's So the thing I'm looking at here, that just looking at the card, it's just Satya is on the outside, and then Mithya is in the dark section of it,
right.
And so Mithya, then Maya is the power behind Mithya, but is Satya? Is there anything more subtle about Satya that we're not seeing here?
Oh, okay, I made the screen big for the speaker. Can you show me this chart again, please? Can you show it to us nicely? Yeah. So Satya appears above Maya. So in every one of Ramji's charts, you see that consciousness first appears up there, okay, before Maya comes into operation. Okay, thank you, Dave. So Maya enters, and then Maya, when Maya comes into play, David, Satya does not go anywhere. You understand? That's why you see the symbol Om appearing all through those charts. The most traditional one, you see the triangle, you know? You'll see it appearing in the subtle body, but it could be shown everywhere, that in the causal and the physical body, because Satya pervades Mithya, because Mithya, of course, we see Maya. You understand? Maya is the only reality, or Satya is the only reality. Mithya, of course, we see Satya, okay, the only reality. So Satya is all over. It's the substratum, is that all-pervasive conscious principle. Now, what it tells us in respect to our own day-to-day life experience. So it tells, because these teachings, they need to be very practical so that we may benefit. It tells us that in every moment of our life, we are experiencing Satya and Mithya. You understand? In every moment of our life, we experience Satya and we experience Mithya, because we are an experiencing entity designed to experience the objects, the other objects surrounding us in Mithya, in the universe. So every moment of our life, we experience Satya and Mithya. So we experience Mithya as object, but we experience Satya as the substratum of all objects. You understand? So this knowledge, it needs to be very clear so that we understand that the reality, you know, we can understand that Mithya is nothing but Satya, although Satya is not Mithya, you understand? So everything that we see, the reality of everything we see, the reality of every single ornament of gold is only gold. You understand? We can shape gold howsoever we wish, but the reality, the substantial, true, essential, fundamental reality is gold. So likewise, everything we see in the universe is just such as just consciousness. Okay? So it is important to understand that every moment, David, this Satya Mithya play, you know, is there in our lives, even through the three states of consciousness as well, even in deep sleep. So I am experiencing Satya and I am experiencing Mithya, although the Sansaris believe that we experience only Mithya, because our sense organs, they are extrovert towards Mithya. And then we say, oh, I only experience Mithya. Where is Brahman? Where is consciousness? But we are in a moment to moment together with any and all experience of the objects of Mithya, we are experiencing Satya. Satya, how you experience Satya? You experience Satya as the light of consciousness that illumines the human intellect, which illumines its environment to experience Mithya. So we experience the light of the illuminator, and then we experience the objects that occur in the intellect, which is the instrument by which, you know, consciousness experience Mithya. So every experience in Mithya, it includes the experience of Satya, but we have a difficulty to accept, understand it, because we can see Satya objectively. But Satya is the nature of the observer, is the nature of the experiencer, it's the nature of the knower, you understand? And we keep wanting to see Brahman, Satya, consciousness objectively, but no. You see it, you feel it, you experience it, but not objectively. But yet there is an element of experience because it's shining in our intellects all the time. You understand? That reminds me of of a good conversation I used to have with Ramji when I first met him. I used to say, but there is an experiential because of this thing, experience and knowledge, experience and knowledge. He became famous because of this distinction between experience and knowledge present in the How to Attain Enlightenment and in the other book as well. So I was asking him, but you were against experience, but to me, self-recognition, self-knowledge, or enlightenment, it has an element of experience. And this experience, only later on, much later on, I could understand that there is a sense of experience, but it's not like you experience consciousness or satya objectively. You experience it as your very nature. I'm going to repeat it. You experience it as your very nature. It's very simple.
I'm just reflecting. What's the impact? I mean, how does that understanding then, modify my thinking, or modify my approach, or modify my reaction, or the choices that I make? It's just, it's intellectually, it's a really cool concept, and it's like, so what's the impact? But
the impact is very simple. First, you discriminate the benefit. The impact is positive, and it's very clear. When you start discriminate Satya or Mithya and claim your identity with Satya, okay? And then you see, I am this consciousness. I cannot see it objectively. This consciousness is the nature of my mind, the nature of my intellect, the nature of my physical body. Everything has its nature and consciousness, and I am consciousness, okay? So now, in which way you're going to benefit of this knowledge? So now you have established that your nature is consciousness, is not the mind. It's not the subtle body. It's not the intellect. It's not the ego. Your true nature is consciousness, without which the three bodies do not really stand together, okay? So now you establish your nature as consciousness. Are you following, David?
Yeah, okay. And
then you come to Vedanta and you understand that consciousnness is the only reality, meaning to say that consciousness is another name for existence. Everything that is consciousness existence. You understand? Every existence of any and everything is due to this existence consciousness, Sat Chit, okay? Reality, which is conscious, which is self-conscious. It's a self-conscious reality that borrows existence and consciousness to all living creatures. You understand? So now you understood what Satya, you understood that Mithya is anything that can be objectified, can be known, experienced, and so on. So you keep discriminating until you are really clear about I am consciousness. And then David comes and says, okay, so what is the big deal? Now, suppose that I'm clear, I really accept it, I have no doubt about that, I take it, and it's a fact to me, I am consciousness. So what is the big deal? What does change for me if I decide that I am the body-mind? If I decide I am consciousness, what difference is going to make into my life? Okay, this is a very important question. Very, very important question. The difference is that once you know that you are consciousness and existence and not the body-mind complex, you need to understand the third aspect of your nature, which is limitlessness. You understand? And then you have to claim your nature as consciousness, as existence, and as ananta, limitlessness. When I met Ramji, I had it clear that I was consciousness. I used to teach satsangs and things like that, but I was not, I haven't had it clear that my nature as consciousness was ananta, limitlessness, one without a second. There's nothing other than myself. I am that which exists as a substrate on everything. I will be shining In every body-mind complex, I will be thinking and discriminating in the intellect of every human jiva, you understand? So once you know that your consciousness and your existence, that you are never going to lose your consciousness existence, and then the last piece of this equation is to understand that my nature is also ananta, it's limitlessness. Why? Because everything that appears in the universe is just a superimposition of names and forms. But the substratum, the nature of everything is just consciousness. So consciousness being the substratum, being the existence of everything, is the only thing, is one without a second. There is only me. There is only David, not the body-mind David. The true nature, fundamental nature of David is the only reality. Everything else is just an appearance within you. Once you understood that, the greatest benefit is that, and then finally enough, you'll say, oh my God, I will never lose my conscious existence. I am beyond time, okay? I am beyond space, okay? I will keep shining. I will keep, propitiating Maya to bring about this universe infinitely in and out of appearance, and I remain as the only reality, the light of the illuminator, the conscious subject principle, okay, which makes the jiva an experience agent, a knowing agent. So once you understand your consciousness, you will need to understand your nature as limitlessness. Only then we can appreciate and enjoy and benefit from self-knowledge. I was having a walk with my wife in Olympia, Washington, waiting for our citizenship so that we could leave USA to come to live in Brazil 6-7 years ago. It did not work. I went back to Italy later on. But I was having a walk, and then it flashed in my mind that the problems I was having was due to the fact that I understood that there was consciousness, that there was existence, but I haven't really cleared, this confusion about my nature as limited or unlimited, limitlessness or limitation, you understand? So there was still some confusion between the body-mind and my nature as consciousness. And then once I understood that if you claim yourself to be consciousness, and then you need to make peace with the fact that you are the substratum of everything. You understand? You may lose this body-mind complex, but you do not go anywhere because everything exists within you, apparently exists within you. So this is the benefit.
I mean, clearly it's a path away from psychological suffering. Well, we're kind of caught up in that, and now we're talking that there is if we can discriminate, if we can really rest and sit in Sat Chitananda, then psychological suffering for the body and mind should be reduced at least. Yeah.
Big time. Why? Because all our psychological problems, they are a function of our desires to gain, to push away, gain, retain, maintain, or avoiding things, So all these affliction trying to attract what you want and repel what you don't want, this is what brings about the negative thoughts and feelings we develop, the pattern, the negative pattern, because we want what we want, and we want to keep it. So all of that, it gradually fades as you understand your nature as purna, as completion, as wholeness, you understand? As you really understand it, that so there is nothing really lacking here, because all of that is just a superimposition of seeing the scope of my conscious existence, you understand? So this is the greatest the greatest eliminator of desires and aversions and fears. It begins just like they go gradually. They just start disappearing. Self-knowledge, the greatest purifier, as we say, Vedanta says. And once we understand our nature without any doubt, you understand? And then I had this clear understanding and perception that I felt like, oh my God, so where are my desires and fears? Something happened here because now I experience the world differently, and I did not know Vedanta. I was a bit confused. I was thinking in terms like, oh my God, I think my ego has dropped, or I lost piece of my ego. I was confused. I did not understand. But the impact is due to the fact that once you even if the understanding is not very clear, if you understand your consciousness immediately as consciousness, you no longer feed all those desires and aversions as they come. I remember when this self-recognition took place to me, and my body I was very sick. I was ill at the time. My body was very weak. And then on top, there came this self-recognition, and there was so much Shakti going on, and I could hardly sleep. So my physical body became even weaker. And I used to get up in the morning and have hardly any energy to go about doing my things, And there was a strange, weird sense like of no blaming, no complaining, no whining. Everything was good, you understand? And to see the sick body and not being able to sleep and this and that, and even a sick mind, a weak stomach mind, all these things were happening to me, and I say, oh my God, what's going on here? Why I'm not miserable? Why I'm not whining? Why I'm not making everybody around me miserable as well? Because in the past, for me, it was like that. If I'm miserable, I'm going to pass it on. And there was this strange sensation that something happened, Why? Because self-knowledge is the greatest killer of desires and aversions. You start just seeing, consciousness, I am consciousness, and just that seeing, that knowing, it starts just fulminating a lot of vasanas, a lot of likes and dislikes,
It's beautiful. Thanks. Yeah. I think I'm going to write Sat Chit Ananda on my mirror today.
Good. And make the Ananda very big.
Make it big. Ananda is very big. So, and it just keeps going back to you're back to discerning, and that's that whole idea of discerning between satya and mithya, and remembering to do that.
Yeah.
To kind of sit with that. That's why I say write it on my mirror. That's my metaphor for remember.
Yeah.
And to do that. So good. All right. I have to go, so I'm gonna take this time. I'm gonna say goodbye, and thanks for the discussion today. And I'll see you on Monday again, right? So.
Yep, definitely. We're gonna finish up the last 4 verses of the Viveka, and this weekend I will work on our next text, and I will email to you guys the one.
All right, and we should, and if we choose to, we can work on what we might want to pursue in terms of continuing our development of an understanding and application of karma yoga and upasana as well too, whether it be to Paramathananda or Ramji or some other way.
Yeah.
And it might be nice to report back on that next Thursday, what we come across. So
Okay.
if invite people to do that. So
sounds good.
Oh, all right. Thanks so much. Bye.
Thank you, David. Thank you.
Arlindo, I liked very much David's question because what I've been, I remember you saying earlier on in our talks, values, values, values. And it seems to me keeping that notion of the punya that comes from knowledge in your mind is a way of reorienting your values so that you kind of place that objective at a pinnacle spot in your value structure. And that Ananta to me just means that there's no vulnerabilities, absolute security and peace. That's what I like to think of as that. What are the fruits?
Yeah.
Yanapala of knowledge.
Definitely, Ananta refers to the fructification of self-knowledge, so the understanding that I am consciousness, I am existence, and the fructification of this knowledge is this firm, clear understanding that there is nothing really missing and nothing can really affect us because we do not change with experience, We are not bound by time, and we never change with experience, regardless of the experience. So this certainty of knowledge, you understand, it fructifies as a mind, an intellect resolved by jnana. Intellect resolved by jnana is the best way to have a resolved intellect. Life is about experience, and we experience everything through the intellect. So the intellect, we want it to be resolved. And then we do a lot of different practice to calm the mind, to calm the body. Yeah, we do asanas, we do yoga, we do karma yoga, we do meditations and so on, because we want to have a mind that is more sattvic, more calm, more resolved. So we say that if you want to have a mind properly resolved so that you can be an enjoyer rather than a sufferer, the best way is to resolve the mind by the means of jnana. Because if you do that by the means of controlling your gunas or manipulating your thoughts or stopping your thinking process, you're going to resolve your mind, but only temporarily. When you resolve the mind by the means of jnana, so it means to say that you went there and this knowledge, this discrimination, this inquiry went down there, in our system, and has canceled a lot of those likes and dislikes, let's say, those ignorance, the notions that I need what I need and I need to avoid what I need to avoid in order to have a peaceful mind. So when we go for jnana, we are taking a different approach. I'm looking into the insubstantiality of going after things to gain or to avoid them or to maintain them, and we go for the understanding of our nature as purna. And then that is a way to resolve the mind. So Ramji, I got your roots. I come back to you in a moment. Ramji likes to refer to Ananta as a sense of confidence that nothing can really change or affect me. You understand? So it is peace. It's a peace derived by a mind resolved by the understanding that my nature is consciousness and I don't change to experience, basically, Experience can be good and bad. The mind change, but I don't change. So this is the fructification of self-knowledge, which is a yanapala, it's the results of our efforts to inquire, following the logic presented by Vedanta. Yeah. That's very nice. Yes, Ruth?
Ramji said your desires become preferences. So the grasping element of your vasanas are relieved. If one thing happens that you like, that's good. And if another thing happens, that's okay too.
Yeah. It is about that. It's converting those hardwired compulsive, binding likes and dislikes into preference, or unpreference. No, I would like to avoid this. I would like to avoid that. But that it does not really matter much. I prefer not to lose my money and keep my money because it gives me a relative sense of security. You understand? But if you believe that money is going to really give you security, and then you're going to be very, very vulnerable and agitated in the perspective of losing it. But if you know that money can just buy things, but cannot buy your peace, your freedom, and so on, and then your relationship with media, with things, is different, and you no longer have a binding desire to get, keep, or avoid. You understand? It's just like more or less on those lines. So it is a preference. It's okay. It helps me to navigate in medium, but whatever. So whatever our prarabdha karma may be, we know that we do not change with experience. This is a very important statement. We are that which does not change to experience. Experience change, the experiencing entity changes, but self-knowledge is the knowledge that I am consciousness and I do not change to experience. And that somehow it gives great relief to the mind. And mind changes, but then knowing that you don't change is going to make your mind to change less violently. That is the bonus of self-knowledge. Self-knowledge is not like controlling the mind, but once you know that you are not the mind behaves much better. The mind is more resolved, more calm, because the mind understood its real nature, its true nature as consciousness, that which does not change. You understand?
This reminds me, Arlindo, the other day, I was feeling a little bit depressed and a little bit down, and I could see the tamasic aspect of my mind, and I realized there was two things going on here. There was pure consciousness, and then there was the thoughts in my mind. And at this moment, I chose to associate with the consciousness rather than with the thoughts. And this is what you're saying now. So this is how I dealt with it, and very positive. And then the negative thoughts go away, and you're just left as yourself.
Good. So it did work, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was just discriminating. It was just remembering at that moment of time that there's not just the feeling in the mind, but there's actually this is appearing in the consciousness. Yeah. And then choosing to say, okay, I'm the consciousness and not the feeling. Yeah. Very,
very nice.
And
another testimonial yeah, to the benefits of discrimination, Vedantic discrimination. Yes, Ruth, you are going to say more?
Hey.
Yes, Karen.
I just wanted to wonder if you could clarify the difference between Ananda and Ananta. I get confused on what's that difference, spelled with a D or a T.
Yeah, well, I mean, I haven't gone much into researching this, but I heard from some of our teachers that originally Ananta means limitlessness in Sanskrit, okay? But then it was originally translated in English as bliss, satisfaction, bliss, you understand? And then this gave people a notion that Ananta was an experience, okay? And again, it is and it is not. Because when we say that Ananta is the nature of Brahman, and Brahman is not an experiencing entity, and it's not an object of experience neither. And then we have to look into this notion of Ananta as limitlessness and understand that the non-experiencing element of our nature as Anant, and the experiencing element of our nature as Ananda. Okay? So for the jiva, a mind that is resolved into the understanding of one's nature as Sat Chit Ananta, that mind is going to get the experiential benefit called Ananda. Why? Because the mind is resolved by Yani, and the mind resolved by Yani is going to get a nice reflection of consciousness free from those rajas and tamas that cause mental disturbance. So, and then we say that, oh yes, knowledge is bliss, not ignorance. Knowledge is bliss. Why? My mind is resolved, and I have this experience of Ananda, you understand? Which is this experiential aspect, which is connected to my nature as limitless, and it is experienced as bliss, Ananda, you understand? So Ananta is not an experience. Ananda is an experience because it is the reflection of my nature as Ananta in my subtle body. In my subtle body being properly resolved by Yana, it produces this experiential phenomenon called Ananda, this sense of confidence, satisfaction, and fulfillment, and peace, you understand? Stability. Does it answer, Karen?
Yes, it's that, the terminology and questions of that, but yes, that clarifies.
How are you doing, Claudio? Long time we don't hear from you.
We talked the last time also.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we. Everything is good. I want to share to you that I start to study the Bhagavad Gita. I found the audio of Paramarthananda, and I'm now in the 3rd chapter, and I find it very understandable. You say that it was a little bit difficult at the beginning, but I find it very, very clear. And also, yes, there is a lot of Sanskrit there, but it's very clear. So I had this vasana for the Bhagavad Gita, so I found the audios on internet.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah, usually when Paramarthananda does his satsangs or his lectures, he usually will go through a lot of Sanskrit and then he'll translate it for you.
Yeah, very clearly.
Beautifully. Get it beautifully. I love Paramarthananda.
What is this?
They came back from lunch. Construction begins again.
Okay.
That's one of the reasons I have been going out as well, because of the noise here,
Yeah, the audio and video seems very good today.
Yeah, it's very good, very stable. I have an arrangement to go there when needed. Okay, I guess it's time to say goodbye. I see you on Monday. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, everybody. Love you. And we meet again soon. Ishwara willing.
Arlindo,
Yep.
can you stay 2 minutes with me more? Because
Yeah.
I want to ask you for
Yeah.
one thing.
Yeah, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thanks.
Bye bye.
Okay, goodbye.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
So, Alinda, I was thinking, if you want, I was thinking to make some videos about Vedanta, but in Italian, for Italians, in my YouTube channel. And I don't know if you want to do some videos together. I don't know if you want to talk Italian, but I can.
Just a moment, please. I forgot to stop the recording.